Hello, everybody, and welcome back to The Way We Nerd. We have missed you guys so much, but we are back.
I haven't.
Oh, well, then, let's start with the introductions over there with Mr. Sourpuss.
Oh, I'm Mr. Sourpuss. No, I'm Joshua Potter.
There we go.
I'm John Hudson.
Danny Villalobos.
I'm Kyle Bound.
Russell Fog.
And we are The Way We Nerd. We're just going to dive right into this show this time because...
Dive right in.
There's a lot of stuff to talk about right now. Why don't we start off with news, Professor Potter?
Yes.
Well, considering I don't have my phone because
I was
we're
just
using it to
thinking
film,
that, yeah.
what am I going to do?
Like, the list was on the phones.
Well,
and the
John
phones are gone.
has his phone.
I have
it's fine.
fun. What does he? Where's his?
No, it's
list?
good.
you
It's
know
good.
some
I got
stuff.
it.
You know,
It's
okay,
fine.
come
It's fine.
Yeah, it was
We
in the
can-
notes app.
We can just go on tangents because that's what we do, right?
Of course, it is the way we nerd after all.
That is the way we
It's
nerd.
not the way we tangent.
Oh, that's the
all
other
right.
podcast. Tune
Yeah.
into that.
Well, they can't because we go off on so many tangents. We don't actually get the pods done, and we're on a tangent right now. Okay, so first big bit of not big bit of news.
And your
but,
wife's not here to keep us on point.
I know.
yeah.
Lovely producer.
Balls. So since we were all talking about it just a second ago off pod, Disney has officially released the word that Palpatine is a clone in Rise of Skywalker officially.
That's big
and
news.
I'm
already
thinking
knew that.
like, yeah, we already knew it. How is that new news? I mean,
Yeah, but
it's
as
confirmed
Kyle was saying
now.
off pod about the lay Star Wars fan.
It's not
Yeah.
in the movie. So if you're not,
Yeah.
like, steeped in the old mythology
Like
that
we
is
all
now
are.
not canon,
Right.
there's no way to know that. There's nothing in the movie that indicates that other than that, like, he built some, Snoke from the ground up. And...
Well, Dominic Monaghan mentions it offhand. Cloning technology. That's it.
yeah, but
Yeah.
he also mentions it with, like, 4 other things. Like, cloning technology, Sith magic, other things.
Well, they also do allude you to think that he was just basically a corpse. They dug off scraped him off the bottom of the Death Star, shot some electrodes into his back like Dark Crystal, and just brought him back to life that way.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
what he looks
because
like.
he's got
Yeah.
one finger was gone, and
Yeah.
his teeth are all rotten. So they're
Yeah.
they're alluding you into thinking it could be a corpse, could be just a shitty clone.
Well,
but
It could, but
Here's
it's just the back and forth, and clearly they had already thought about this, and this comes up in Dark Empire, the Dark Empire series, back when Dark Horse still had the IP for Star Wars comics, and it's a very great series, Dark Empire 2, and Empire's End, and yeah, the whole premise is Palpatine has created clone bodies, and he can just force pop his spirit into each body as it degrades because Sith magic is so powerful and so dark that it quickly erodes bodies. That's why you see a lot of Sith Lords that are cadaverous.
That cover,
grody.
that cover of I want to say it was number 3 of the Emperor kind of rising out of the ooze of the clone and has a lightsaber in
Oh,
his
yeah.
hand.
Yeah.
And he's looking all young. He's looking all young Sheev.
Yeah,
We've
he's
never
like
seen.
Palpatine in his prime.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
which he kind of looks a little bit like a Skywalker, and he is the one that influenced the midichlorians to make Anakin, right?
Well,
Maybe.
That's the implication.
I mean,
yeah,
okay,
it still hasn't been
whatever.
confirmed 20 years later. I mean,
Well,
I would assume
the thing is,
that.
like, yeah, I'm pretty sure he did. I know he says that,
They-
that his master did, but the way he's like, kind of like using his eyes,
I mean,
like,
that's
looking almost on the sun.
That's the implication
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
who knows?
I don't know.
But
So,
anyway,
whatever. That's
Yeah,
fine.
so annoying details that are very important showing up in books is the new Star Wars.
release the JJ
Yeah.
cut hashtag. Release the JJ
Yeah.
cut.
Yeah.
Is that a thing anymore?
I don't.
So, yeah, why not? Roll with it.
Sorry. That was just a funny video with Timberlake and Fallon. All right. Any other news?
What else you got?
Another one I want to discuss with you guys, just because I want to get your take on it. Marvel has put out that they're looking for an Alison Brie type actress to play She-Hulk
Yes.
on the upcoming Disney
know who
Plus
should do
series.
that?
Alison Brie.
Yes.
Well, she,
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
yeah, she came out. She said there hasn't been any talks, but they always
No.
say that.
Well,
No, she said there was talks, I thought.
No, she said there was none.
Oh, I thought she's being coy. She's like, well, we'll have to talk about that later, but there may be talks.
I don't know. The thing I read was not that at all. But I don't know.
I don't know.
Well, it was some
maybe
interview she gave, but I was too lazy
Yeah.
to click on the clip at the time. I was doing
my
something.
question is, again, they're... I don't
She
know.
likes the
It's-
idea. I know that.
She likes the idea, and she would be great. Don't get me wrong, she would be great in the role. But there's so many other people you could cast too that would be just as good, if not better, and could play more of the physicality of the Hulk. Even though I know the Hulk is probably going to be CG.
She does that show Glow.
Have you watched Glow?
Yeah.
I have. Yeah.
Okay.
So she's
And I-
trained in like stage fighting.
Yeah, that's
Stage
why I'm
combat.
not saying it's necessarily a bad thing, but we've talked about this off pod, Dan, and somebody like Stephanie Beatrice from Brooklyn Nine-Nine would be an excellent
She fits
She-Hulk,
the She-Hulk look for sure.
but she could also be Jennifer.
I'm not saying she
Walters.
can't.
She
I'm
could-
not saying she can't.
She could be either. I also think Gina Carano could be good
I was
in
thinking
She-Hulk.
that.
Yeah,
She's
she's
not-
got the physicality.
She's good, but she's more charisma than strong actress.
And let me ask
Well-
you guys this, because you brought.
I'm not saying she can't become one.
Yeah.
But
No,
She's still
but-
kind of an beginner.
Right, but,
Not amateur.
but to what you were
Yeah.
saying earlier, more than likely we're going to be doing something like they did with Mark Ruffalo, where you're going to basically be just putting her face and her features
Yeah.
onto a CG creation. So that being said, is this
Ruffalo.
casting? Because I know you guys are mentioning.
I don't know. I
physicality.
think they're going to go Lou Ferrigno route and just paint them green like Alphaba.
But see,
And-
that's the thing.
Yeah, no.
That's not that far removed. They could do that. So that's
could,
my answer.
yeah.
Whichever one
Or
are you
more
casting
cost-
for the
whichever one's more
physicality?
cost
Like, how big of a
effective
consideration
for
is
the
that?
show.
I think it also depends on what version of She-Hulk they're going to do. Are they going to do more of the how shall I put this, slender feminine She-Hulk, or more of the hulked out bulky She-Hulk, or something in the middle?
In the
Because-
Are they going to do Hulk
in the
Smash or Hulk Ballet?
in the most recent
That's the question.
in the
what
most
I'm
recent
asking.
She-Hulk comics, Jennifer looks more like oh my god, I'm gonna get her name wrong. Ellie Kemper, is that her name? The girl who's in The Office and
Yes, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt.
yes, her.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah,
She looks
yeah.
a little bit more like her,
Really?
and I think you do that, and then you cast Lou Ferrigno in a wig, and give him some fake boobs. Although he probably has real man boobs now because he's in his like 70s. But he's still pretty good shape though.
I would love
Lou.
for Lou Ferrigno to get a cameo.
Oh, he will. He's got a cameo in every Hulk.
He has to, yeah.
Except for the MCU, but there hasn't been an MCU standalone Hulk yet. But actually, wait, I take
No,
that back.
no, he was.
Because
He
the
was
Edward Norton.
he was
Edward
a
Norton
security guard.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're the man. You're the man, bro.
He gets the pizza. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I guess
Yeah.
the big question would just be what kind of effects budget they want to have for the show. Because, like,
That's what I'm saying. The
something
cost
like
effective.
There's
no, yeah,
two.
something like Mandalorian, like, has the effects on that are flawless.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, they have the whole new system they're using for the
Right.
the sets.
digital environment.
Yeah.
They can project it right on. Yeah, I mean it's
Yeah.
it's pretty wild.
Yeah.
I think what brought the story to my attention though, or this news, is that a lot of people are saying, we're gonna cast another waifish white girl for a superhero role. And then they were calling out Captain Marvel, and I was like, it doesn't matter. I mean, why are you getting so riled up about this when there are so many other things to get riled up about? And they're not entirely wrong. That's why I'm saying like a person of color in the role could be fantastic. Hence Gina Carano or Stephanie Beatrice or
Yeah.
any other number of
Gina
actresses.
Torres.
Oh yeah, Gina Torres or Rosario Dawson. I think would be a great She-Hulk.
She's already got a new show.
But
that girl, that
She
woman
does.
always works.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
because she's so good.
Yeah, no,
That's
no.
why. Yeah.
She was in those other
Yeah.
Marvel
I mean,
shows.
but there's also some good representation out there too. And,
There
and
is.
Kyle kind of opened my eyes to that a couple of weeks ago when I had to think about it a little bit more. Like they made a Starfire in Titans a black girl, and
Yeah.
she's perfect in the role. Like,
Absolutely.
That's a great show, by the way. That's a show we should talk about on the pod because I think it's going to get better if they let it keep going. Because I don't know what
Well-
that's the part of the news too. We're going to get to DC's kind of something's happened with DC.
Let's go
it's
right
scary.
into that because I'm kind of done on,
All right.
on She-Hulk.
Well, if anybody hasn't heard the news, there's rumors out there, nothing confirmed, obviously, because AT&T's not going to confirm this, that they might be thinking of closing DC Publishing. That means the end of comic books. If this next big event, which is their newest New 52
the 5G,
rebirth,
5G,
5G.
yeah,
The
Yeah, 5G.
new 50.
It's a new,
That's the
it's-
one.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's a new
5G,
rebirth. Like
which-
it's another.
Is that what they're
relaunch.
talking about with the 5G network?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
that's the other thing. I'm like, why are you calling it 5G because of the 5G network? It's a little on
It's
the
like
nose.
the
I'm like,
worst type of cross promotion.
Like, come on.
I mean, we'll get deeper into that.
Batman only on 5G.
We'll get deeper into the repercussions.
Batman
of-
holds his AT&T ready iPhone to his.
But let's be fair. Who did we say was making these calls again? AT&T, if I'm not mistaken. So it's not too
Yeah.
far removed from that.
Side note to that news, I saw that news about iPhones don't allow villains to use their phones in movies, which I think is pretty funny.
Oh, Apple, right?
Yeah,
That's
I
funny.
think it's pretty funny.
That is.
But
We'll
anyway,
let Samsung handle those.
we'll get deeper into the DC closure on Off the Rack. But we'll hear
It's so
myself,
dumb. It's so dumb.
Josh, and John's thoughts. But I want to hear
will. Well-
Kyle and Russell's thoughts because they're not on that pod. What do you guys think about this whole idea of DC publishing just shutting down Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman comics? No more.
This is the first I'm hearing of it, and this is just rumor. But if
Yeah.
I'm gonna go off of like a fun take on it, let the past die.
Burn it to the
End their
ground.
stories. End them.
That was great. Man.
That was great, man. All right.
I agree. If they're gonna do it, go all out and end the fucking stories.
Have an end
Got it.
game. Like,
Got a little
Yeah.
Kylo Russell
Because-
over here.
conclusion.
my whole thing, and I won't get too deep into it because I want to hear Kyle's thoughts. My big thing is like I just want AT&T, if they're going to shut it down, just sell it to somebody. But the problem is anybody who's going to buy it's going to want to buy the movie rights, and they're not going to give up those because they're still going to make movies and TV shows.
So here's what's going to happen. They're going to shut it down. It'll be shut down for about 5 years, and then it'll come back.
Rebirth 2.
All be new, all be fresh. It'll be a big event. It'll be like the Disney Vault,
Oh, that'll be like
where it's like, you can get Cinderella for the next 6 weeks, and then it's fucking gone. And then 2 years later, it's back, and now there's more extras, and you have to buy it, or else you will never have it again. Your children will hate you.
I really hope
So it'll be
I
that
really
with DC
yeah.
Comics.
I really hope Disney
Yeah.
Plus doesn't do the same thing that I hope they don't put things back into the vault.
It's what I'm concerned with.
Not before I get all through the animated movies, for Christ's sake.
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it more on Off the Rack. But what I'm concerned about is if DC folds the comics publishing side, what does that mean for the rest of the comic book industry at large?
I was thinking that Marvel would be
Because as much as they compete and lock heads, they need each other.
yeah.
And they've both
sides
said
have
that.
said it, yeah.
that's why all this DC
Marvel's
hate or
not going
Marvel
anywhere.
hate or whatever.
No,
Marvel's not going
But
to.
Stan
They're
Lee had
not,
that great.
but-
Stan Lee had that great line where he called them the distinguished competition.
Yeah,
like I always
and that's
thought
what
that
they
was
are,
really
and
awesome.
I think they feel the same way about Marvel
Yeah.
for the most part. So that's why it's like, oh man, I mean, I would like to believe that there are enough people that read comics that are going to keep buying comics and keep the interest alive and the industry alive, because it is such a great art form.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Sorry, just to jump right in the
No.
middle of your talking.
Please.
So they're going to get rid of DC Publishing.
Yes.
Now, what exactly does DC Publishing entail? Because the thing that everything is moving to now, if you look at Apple, if you look at sort of all the big companies, it's all about subscription.
Yeah.
So does that mean it would not be able to exist in digital form?
No.
Like,
I
what's the
think-
likelihood that it transitions to just be straight digital, no physical publishing?
Well, here's the thing. Like, since we only have this rumor, there's no details.
That's fair.
And that could be a possibility because I am a member of DC Universe, which is a fantastic site that has all the animated shows you could possibly want, all the live action shows. That's
Right.
everything, including comic books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't read the comics as much. I just don't have time. I wish I did. But they have a treasure trove of classic and new comics, and it's. I know kids that read comics nowadays. The kids that I do know read digital. But my nieces love comic books. The other day we went to the bookstore and I had this. You guys can choose whatever book you want. They both chose comic books. One chose the Babysitter's Club, but a comic book version of it, and the other chose
Love
a
it.
Wonder Woman comic, and she
Love it.
loves Wonder Woman, and she's 7. Like there's people out there that are hungry for this material and this,
Right.
and this form.
But so me for instance,
But everybody has tablets.
I don't
so-
buy comics.
No.
I have read
How do we
Preacher.
sell one to you, kind of thing?
I have read Preacher, and I have read Why the Last Man, and a couple other Midnight
great comics.
Nation, one
Yeah.
or two other things. But if I don't have the DC thing, right? But I am more likely to buy the DC thing if it's got a bunch of good shows. Like, I'm tempted seeing these ads and clips for the Harley Quinn show.
Oh, that show.
Like,
I
that
hear
looks
is
really
fantastic.
fun and funny.
Yeah.
So, like, if I were to do that, then I would maybe start reading comics, and then I would keep that subscription when I'm not using it. And then I'd forget I have it, not read comics, and just keep paying them their $10 a month for the next 20 years.
Yeah.
But, like, if their goal is...
It's only 7.
Oh, well, that's
It's
even
only
better.
7.
But
Or
so
6.
I could see a world where the goal is not to get people to go to a comic shop and buy an issue for $3. Instead, $4. Instead, they pay $8 a month, $7 a month,
And get them all.
and get them all, and get the animated shows. And it's just about getting more subscriptions instead of, like, how many comics do you buy a month? How many
Well, I'm a bad
DC
example.
comics do you buy a month?
DC Comics, I probably buy 10 to 12.
Okay,
a month?
what about you?
You-
Okay, what about you?
1.
No.
I know one you do.
Well, one, but
Oh, you
I've got
added
more
another
into.
one.
So I'd say like 3 to 5, probably.
What about
I
you?
just
Zero.
yeah.
I buy graphic novels.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't do
That's
that.
Oh, Marvel, baby! Woo!
Because too many variant covers, and I
John.
want them all.
But
and-
so at this
But-
table,
yeah.
two of us buy DC Comics, and we're on the nerdier side of things.
Yes.
Yeah.
2 out of 5. Yes.
And a little bit to that point, here's what to answer your question a little bit, what, my interpretation of it. Because when I read the article, my thoughts on it were that they are basically closing down new publishing. They are still open to and probably will print and leave older stuff available for subscriptions. Because if you look at DC in their catalog, they've got, it ranges back to what, 1939, something like that?
Yep.
Yeah. They have a treasure trove worth of stories that are already out there. The reason this decision, I believe, is being made is because from a financial point of view, as shitty as it is to say, brick and mortar, comic buying is going the way of the dinosaur because of the whole subscription-based process. I don't like it any more than the next person, but it is happening. So I think that in order to kind of get ahead of that a little bit, still make the stuff available online for subscriptions, still be able to go into a Barnes & Noble for as long as they're still open, and be able to get graphic novels and old stories. They still want to leave that open, but I think what they're trying to do is to cut costs by getting rid of the creative end that makes new stories. So they're going to get rid of the publishing.
I would be surprised if they got rid of the creative.
Well, see, that's what I'm wondering.
It's because you can sort of slash out everything after here's my pages if you go digital, right? It's going to be much cheaper to do digital than to have a printing facility that you probably own, print it, ship it, all of that. You cut out the middlemen. You don't have to. There's no wholesale to the comic book shop, which then sells it at a markup. You just you keep all the money. You put it on your streaming service, as a digital thing. Maybe you make it an add-on to HBO Max. If you have HBO Max for an extra $5 a month, you get all the DC stuff.
Yeah.
And I could see them also eventizing it more.
Yeah.
Which you see with
Which is what they do
Disney Plus has Mandalorian, where it's and I could also see where it's where they would do something like, okay, we have this huge new Batman story, right, that everybody's clamoring for, because there hasn't been a new Batman issue in a year and a half.
Yeah.
And we're going to do 12 issues over 12 weeks instead of 12 issues over a year, so it's we're going to make this a big thing and we're going to build up like it's TV. I could see it becoming more like TV.
Yeah.
It's the closest thing to get to binging in comics. But let's put a pin in this real quick, and we're going to go to a break. We're going to come back. We're going to come back.
Good.
Don't worry, we're not done with this conversation. But I also thought of a way Kyle could get into DC comic books. Someone's got to give him a job on a DC television show.
I mean,
just putting that out there right now.
I'll take it.
Call Kyle Bound. We'll put his
at that
info
point.
up at the end of the show. All right, so we'll be right back, and see you in a second.
And we're back.
And that's a soundbite. All right.
You know what? And we are back. So that's where I'm going to cut it right there, buddy. But the conversation before that, and we're back, is actually something I think I would love to have on the pod. Which Russell posed this question. We won't talk about it this time, but how do you get a girl?
Or
I would say a significant
How do you get
other.
anyone how do you get anyone into being even if it's not even like somebody trying to date, even just a friend? How do you get somebody into being nerdy that isn't? What's the best gateway? So we'll discuss that on another pod.
Discuss that on a future pod.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But let's get back to the other conversation we were talking about, which I didn't realize it was going to take so much. But the DC conversation, because it was getting interesting. John, you had thoughts.
Crap, now you're going to put me on the spot. I literally had it, but okay, so we were talking about, what was the last thing you said, Kyle? It was
your flow.
subscription
based. Yes!
Add-on to HBO Max.
Yes, I think that is a solid observation of the situation, because I think that the reason DC's in a problem right now where their publishing house isn't potentially going to move forward is because the characters, let's just all be honest, are a lot more iconic than Marvel's. Marvel's got a lot more attention in the recent years.
Yes.
But I can't tell you how damn hard it was in 90s growing up trying to find anything Marvel when it's just all Batman and Superman fucking everywhere, because that's all they knew how to market.
In particular, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we got a little better in the 2000s because of X-Men and Spider-Man, but still.
I read somewhere, I wish I could remember, but they said the Superman symbol is more recognizable than the cross in the world.
Oh, that's a pod for another time.
Yeah. So, not saying that he's bigger than Jesus.
Like
not
the
doing
Beatles.
Thing here, but it's just saying that Superman symbol is just so iconic that there's places where Christianity hasn't really touched.
They have
Superman.
But they as characters, because of that, are so locked in the need for their status quo that I think that what Kyle's saying would make the most sense. You basically just give them an adventure every year or so, and that way you can kind of always reset the continuity, set the stages the way you need it to be. One time you can have Shogun Batman, and that can be your Batman for that year. And then the next year you could potentially do, Batman in Gotham City, but he's dating Catwoman. What'll happen? Just like little things like that, because these characters are so tied to their status quo, and Marvel's are too. But I think Marvel's able to get away with it a little bit because their characters exhibit more pathos, because they really came to prominence in the 60s.
You just reminded me of something that could fit what Kyle was saying, that you have to have a big event, a big story. There's pictures out there of Catwoman Prego.
Yeah.
and Batman behind her. Like
She's making spaghetti.
like
Prego!
Fan service.
Yeah.
Pregnant.
No, totally.
Well, she
I
made
mean,
Batman very
they're
welcome,
not
though, that's
saying
for
yet
sure.
that Bats is the dad, but you know,
Right.
Well, and I think there's, if
he
you
is.
look at the way, there's a huge difference between the way DC and Marvel are handling their universe outside of the comics, right? Where Marvel, everything's tied together. It's all one story.
The comics are mirroring the
It's
movies,
also been
Starting to-
hugely
yeah, for
successful, and I think the movies have been sort of feeding interest in the comics at this point.
Oh, yeah.
I think at first it was, of course, the other way around, but
Oh, for
you know,
sure.
it's sort of flipped on its side. Whereas DC is doing much more of a, okay, here's this story about the Joker. Here's this story about the Batman. Here's this separate TV universe. And even in the TV universe, a lot of them are in separate universes. Like Supergirl's not in the same universe as the Flash and Green Arrow.
Although she is now.
She is now.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
after
The
after
big
Did
the
she
event.
move
big
is she now permanently in?
after the big event? Yeah.
Post-crisis.
They combine the
Interesting.
universes. See, it was.
Huh.
But here's the thing: the DC shows have been getting it right the way MCU has been getting it right on the big screen.
Yes.
Yes,
great.
totally.
Whereas their Netflix one, it worked, but they didn't really they didn't really affect each other's shows too much, except for Luke Cage in the first season of
Banging Jessica
Jessica
Jones.
Jones. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty much all he was there for, actually. So it didn't really affect it at
Well,
all.
they did also use him as a because at one point he got mind controlled by Purple Man, so they had a fight scene at that point.
Yes.
So it was like a
Yes.
speed
Yeah.
bump on her
Yeah.
journey there.
Yeah.
But I could see
And
them
a couple more speed
switching
bumps
from...
later. Hey,
and because they've had, how long has, the main Batman story been going on?
Oh,
Sort of uninterrupted since Detective Comics.
From the beginning, yeah. DC,
Yeah.
DC,
Whatever
DC
the fuck it was.
sets and then
Actually-
always goes back.
well, actually, but that's not true though, because what you're saying, Kyle, is true. Like it went uninterrupted until Crisis, and then it got
Okay.
uninterrupted from Crisis
Yes.
until when did they do their next reboot after that? Because they've done 4 reboots. I think that's why the next thing's called 5G, because it's the 5th generation of DC. They're claiming it.
So the biggest thing, the biggest obstacle to me with getting into a lot of comics is that in order to know the story, I have to go back years and years and years.
Yeah.
If you have more of a, with something like Preacher, when I started reading it, it was done. It was 9 trade paperbacks, and I'm in and out. With Why the Last Man, it was about to wind down. You know, they had announced that it was 160 issues or whatever it was. But if you give me a 12-issue story or a 30-issue story,
Yeah.
you know, I can jump in, I can jump out. It's when the expectation is that it's going to run. I started reading one of the Spider-Men from a decade ago.
Ultimate Spider-Man, maybe?
Gray Spider-Man?
Either Ultimate or Amazing, I don't know.
Spectacular,
It's-
Amazing.
Sensational.
Yeah.
Well, and there's that.
Astonishing.
But so, but then it became clear after I was 3 massive hardcovers into it that oh, this is just never ending. That's when I realized, okay, so I'm either buying this for the rest of my life or I can walk away now. And I walked away
That would be amazing.
and let it
Spider-Man.
go.
Here's the thing.
It was the one. I think it was the one that Raimi based his stuff off of.
Okay, well here's the
Okay.
thing. It's,
I say, let the past
But
die.
if you give me, if you give me a mini series, then it's easier to not feel like I'm missing something.
here's why you don't really need that, because yes, there's a lot of story to go into it, but you have enough of a knowledge because of the movies and the TV shows and the cartoons you have seen that diving into any DC story or Marvel story, you're going to have enough background to know
Yeah,
what's
but that's
going
not
on.
how I roll. Well, I watch it from the beginning, or I don't watch it.
The general person out there that's
Totally.
not Kyle Bound.
But what I'm
most
saying is,
people
I
can
am
handle
an
it.
easy get in theory, right? I should be buying comics. I should be reading comics.
You could pick up a Superman comic and read it and not have no idea what's gone on in previous issues and still have.
Yeah, but I could do that with
enjoy it.
episodes of Grey's Anatomy, and I don't.
Yeah, and
I don't miss an episode. I have to watch it from the beginning,
Yeah,
which
but-
I have.
and
I
here's-
still watch it.
Supernatural.
Here's
Exactly. Yes.
There you go.
That's why I haven't started watching
Doctor Who.
Supernatural because
Yeah,
there's
alright.
13 seasons.
All right,
Well,
John.
and here's something to Kyle's argument though, and something to kind of go with this.
sir.
Continuity works really well, but only if you adhere to that continuity as it goes on. The problem with a lot of DC's heroes is, aside from their origin casts, Superman with Lois Lane and the Daily Planet, Batman with Alfred, Robin, and Joker, all of these elements were established really early in the continuity of these characters. That's why they're kind of baked in at the start. That's why people are so fascinated with these stories being allowed to continue and restart continually, because everything you need to know about the character is baked in.
And
versus stuff like, say, with Marvel, where if you look at the character like Rogue,
Yeah.
she started out as a bad guy, fought the Avengers, went all crazy, stole Captain Marvel's powers, and then she became part of the X-Men, and now to this day is one of the best part of the X-Men.
Yeah.
That's so convoluted down her pathway. It gives her so much depth as a character versus something like a Bruce Wayne, where he's obviously you have his origin story. He becomes Batman.
I hope we see it again. I hope we see it again in the Robert Pattinson one.
Right? Yeah.
Kyle will walk out of the
hope not.
theater if that happens.
And then
I was so pissed when that happened in Joker. What? I was so pissed when Bruce Wayne's parents got shot in Joker. I was like, why are we doing this again?
But this was
a
so much
different
different.
take.
Yeah, it's exactly.
It wasn't.
but yeah.
They died exactly the same way we've seen every time.
But this time the shooter had a mask on. This time he had a Joker mask on.
Point Russell.
Metaphorically, the Joker.
Points.
but
Stop.
It's
Look,
a remix.
Marvel figured out
They
that you
did.
don't need to see Spider-Man get bit by the spider. Literally just has to say to his friend, I got bit by a spider. It was a whole thing.
Yeah.
One other thing to say.
We broke John.
no, fine.
Okay, go ahead, and then I have one more.
Yeah.
But what I was saying to the point, DC's characters, because they are so front-loaded within their own continuity, they do leave themselves very susceptible to being rebooted often. And I think that's the problem DC Publishing is realizing, is these characters go for about 2 years in their in the continuity, and they have to reboot it again. So I think that's what they're unfortunately using their business acumen and looking at the numbers and seeing, okay, if we're just rebooting this shit every couple years anyway, why don't we turn DC Comics into kind of like what they did with All-Star Batman and All-Star Superman? Just do like badass 12-part stories, release them once you have them. Don't feel the pressure to do a monthly book. Say something when it's of substance and when you have it.
I like
Don't
that.
don't just keep making books just to make books. Do it when you have a good story, because these characters are well loved, they're prosperous. I don't see them shuttering the doors for publishing that long. The only reason they would shutter them even potentially is, like you're saying, to give kind of a
To build demand.
to build demand, exactly. And then you come back, you have these stories that have built up. Like maybe Catwoman is pregnant. Maybe we leave her and she is pregnant. DC closes their doors. 2 years later, oh shit, we come back and now there's two Robins. There's Damian over here and Catman, whatever they're going to call this kid. And then those two fight it out. I watch Batman.
They're gonna kill off
Cat-
They're gonna
Cat-
kill
yeah,
off
that's
Jim
great.
Gordon, and they're gonna name it James.
Yeah.
There you go. But so, one final point is, for me, if you tell me, oh, so-and-so's run on this in the middle, Batman 615 through 634 is really good, I'm not going to jump in and read Batman 615 through 634. I'm sure it's the beginning and the end of a story. I'm sure it's an arc that's great.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's called 615 stops me from getting in if I haven't read 1 through 614. But if you tell me...
Hell,
Yeah,
I don't know
they
anybody
did
who
this-
has, bro. That's
I know,
almost
but that's
700
me.
comic books.
That's me. That's who I am.
If there's anybody alive who has read all 700, whatever, what do we have Batman with on Batman?
We will have you on the
8 something.
pod.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
More than that.
Batman on
But
9
if
Whoa,
somebody
1,000.
tells me,
Batman 1000.
Hey, you'd be on the
Detective
pod.
Comics, at least,
Yeah.
Batman
1,000.
Yeah.
goes to the store, this 12-issue arc is really good. Okay, I'll read that 12 issues because
I want to see
it's
what
not
Batman
really a
buys at the grocery market.
Well, lucky for
Yeah.
you, there's a lot of
Well, what happens is Joker comes on the PA and says there's a sale on Death or something.
There
I
you
don't
go.
know. I don't write comics.
Free Death in 05!
Exactly.
See that bat?
This could work.
No, I'll tell you this. Going
Clean
off
up and I am
this
full.
the reason why I stopped collecting Power Ranger comics, I was there from the beginning of the first year, right? I collected for 12 months in a row.
Yeah.
There was a filler, like you wait like a month for one new issue, right?
Yeah.
Like issue 12, I remember issue 12 was a filler. I'm like,
Those
Wait.
are annoying.
okay. And then after issue 12 came out, the graphic novel came out. It had all the variant covers, and it's like one long story in one book. I was like, why am I waiting month to month for one filler?
Yeah. See,
Like-
you decided to read in the, you call it the TV, you call it the movie version of it, where it's not every month you get a new issue.
Yeah.
Like Lost airing in the mid 2000s.
That was murder for
Yes,
me.
exactly, and that makes and because a less than
Yeah.
perfect episode or a less than perfect issue, you feel like, okay, I waited a month for this.
Was it
Now I have to
Paolo and
wait a
Nikki?
month.
Oh,
I
Paolo
enjoyed that
and Nikki.
episode.
Oh.
You
Nikki
waited
and
a
Paolo,
month
yeah.
to get this episode,
Yeah.
and now you have to wait a month for the next episode, and that episode felt like there was no point to it.
Yeah.
So now there's 2 months between episodes or issues that matter.
Yeah.
Instead, like, if you do one a week, if you do 12 issues at a time, if you make it, okay, this is when this thing comes out, and then you wait for the next one, and then this is when this group of things come out, instead of...
That's, you're touching on something
You know.
interesting with what Marvel's doing right now too, and we should talk about this more and in depth on Off the Rack.
We will.
This became off the rack
It-
accidentally.
apparently, yeah, but no. So a lot of Marvel stuff now is even getting to the point where it's this person's run on this comic, or this person's run on this comic, or season 1 of this comic, season 2. Like Green Lantern right now. Grant Morrison is writing Green Lantern, and he did 12
so
issues. It's amazing. It's Green Lantern as a space cop. It's and
Give
it's
Grant
a procedural space
Give
cop
Grant
type
Morrison
show.
a movie script, for heaven's sake.
Yeah, I would love to see his Green Lantern.
Well, supposedly
his
he
version.
was writing a Flash with Ezra Miller.
Oh my god, that would have been amazing.
I think they rejected it though.
Because Grant Miller
Morrison.
gets it, or Morrison. Sorry, not Miller. Yeah.
You said Morrison earlier. So
I did say Morrison. Yeah. So anyway,
You're just excited.
All that to say, I am. Yeah. All that to say is you're getting a lot more creator runs versus lengthy, title runs.
Right.
Well, this is a bad example. Jason Aaron's Thor. That run is done now, but that's gonna. We were talking about it the other day. I think
Kyle should read that.
you should, because it's amazing, but it's gonna be like at least two omnibuses. Yeah, probably.
It was
at
a
least.
massive
Which is
story.
fine though, because again, I read
But there's
Preacher,
a
which
beginning and an
is
end
a
to it.
massive
It is.
comic,
Yeah.
But that was
Why the Last Man, which is massive, but it's a single contained story.
It is. Yeah.
Well, and more specifically now, within those creator runs, you're getting either 6 issues or 12 issues for one story arc, and then it's done, and they move on to another arc.
Marvel
Because I
starts
think they're
renumbering a lot more than DC does. Oh yeah.
renumbering, but yes, renumbering for sure. But
And it's
even
took guys like Kyle. Like they restarted Daredevil numbers, but the story from the previous one just continued into it. Because
Y'all know number one's the only thing that sells, boys.
and
Just every issue is number
two
one.
is scarce,
and number 2 is always scarce.
Yeah.
Number 1-2.
Number
Yeah,
one in the 6
it's
issues.
just interesting because because again, I think it is giving people more of that bite-sized amount.
Yeah,
to
you get
read,
like a movie or
and
like
you don't feel like
a
you're
season.
overwhelmed and
Yeah.
oh my god, I have to go back and read all of these issues, because Elena's like that too. She's like,
Yeah.
why would I watch this season that you say is really good? I have to watch the stuff that came before, or I have to read the stuff that came before. I'm not going to start in the middle. So I get it. I get your point of view on that. So yeah, it's very very interesting.
I didn't get any of that because we could repeat everything we had since the last commercial break.
Yes.
All right, what did you say again?
Starting with John.
Talk about HBO Max
Yeah.
and subscription as an add-on.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Because we'll do it. Oh, yeah.
Event-based.
Yeah, I think event-based.
I'll use,
Yeah.
for example, Stranger Things, right? It's an event-based TV show. It comes on once every 2 years, right? And then everyone comes in, binges it, and then ducks out, right?
Yeah.
But then, Netflix's numbers go up every time. But then they have a revolving door of other shows.
Right.
So I'm
Exactly.
saying DC can do that because
Yeah.
when in 2005, I'm like, why do we always keep having Batman, Superman? Why can't we highlight these other people? And
Because they're scared. They're scared. DC doesn't know what they have.
Yeah,
Or, excuse me.
That's true.
AT&T doesn't know what they have.
AT&T, yeah.
That's what I mean to say.
And with Crisis on Infinite Earths on CW this past year,
Yeah.
Batman took a back seat, and Superman took a back
I mean,
seat.
Green
and
Arrow ran how many seasons?
8.
8.
8 seasons.
Okay, that's right.
So those characters took
Yeah.
a back
Like-
seat, and the other characters got to shine.
Yeah.
And then when it was time for Crisis, then they bring in Superman, then they bring in Batman,
Yeah.
and I'm
Yep.
okay.
How many
This
Supermans did they
felt
bring
special.
in? Did Tom Welling wear the suit?
I don't know.
No.
I haven't seen it yet.
Of course.
I don't think.
I don't
They
think
will never.
so.
He doesn't want to
No, you
wear it.
didn't.
He's-
Oh yeah, you watched it all. That's right.
Yeah.
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 Unless they CG it on him, which was the biggest cop out ever. I was so pissed off in Smallville, and every time they talk about the curse, I'm like, dude, I love you, Tom, but do you understand that those guys also played Clark Kent?
Think about
So it's not like he just
Think
played
about
only
how-
Superman.
What?
think about how pissed off Ryan Reynolds was for an entire movie with the
Yeah.
CG costume.
Don't make the costume CG.
He walked around the set naked the whole time. It's very awkward for
It's very
everybody.
freeing for him. at
Actually,
least.
that's probably accurate. I wouldn't, or at least I wouldn't put it past him because he's Ryan
If
Reynolds
he wouldn't-
and he's hilarious.
Yeah, he'd walk around in the city naked if he could get away
It's
with
true.
it.
Okay, so what else do we have news-wise?
Well,
No, that was it on news.
That was
Okay.
the big things, I think, off the top of my head.
I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah.
Well, let's go to another break, real quick, and then I think when we come back, there's a couple things to talk about. There's a couple TV shows that John and I were both going to nominate for the group to watch, and if anybody else has some shows, think
I
about.
always have shows.
And speaking of Stranger Things, my show comes from those producers, and is also
Oh, yeah.
on, both of our shows
Yeah,
are on
that's
Netflix.
That's right.
And then we're going to talk about Star Wars: The High Republic, because that is a huge
yeah.
news to everybody sitting at this table.
That's
so,
okay, I guess.
Anyway,
I have to be there. I introduced myself as the sourpuss.
all right, Potter. Well, why don't you take us to break then?
We're gonna go to break.
See you guys in a sec. Settle. We're back, and we're here to wrap up the last segment of the show. And
It could be a soft settle.
there was just a couple of shows that John and I were thinking to nominate to the group, and they're very easy shows to watch because they're all on Netflix.
Yes.
10 episodes for one of them, and they're only 30. Both of them, 10 episodes for one, 7 for the other, and they're only 30 minutes each.
Yeah.
So the first show was the show I was watching, which was produced by the Stranger Things group, I guess.
Duffer Brothers?
Duffer,
Or?
Not the Duffer Brothers, because it would have put their names pretty prominently on there.
Yeah.
They just
Oh,
said
yeah.
from producers of Stranger Things. So it's, as we know, TV shows now have like 84 producers. Like if you ever watch the credits,
Right.
Yeah.
there's quite a few. And there's even some that don't even get on the credits. But anyway,
So many producers.
it's called I Am Not Okay With This. And it
Oh.
stars
I do want to see that.
Sophie or is it Sophia? Sophie Lillies, I think.
What was she in?
Yeah.
She was in
it.
That's what it was.
That's
That's what I
right,
saw.
yeah.
She was bugging me in mind when I
And
saw
it
the trailer.
also-
I was like, who the hell is this girl?
It also stars, I can't remember his last name, it starts with an O, but his name's Wyatt something. I wish I had my phone to check it up real quick. But he plays Stan in It.
He's
So
also-
he's also in it.
He's also young Peter in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes, he's young Peter Quill. Yeah, he plays
Yep.
young Peter Quill in
Yep.
Guardians. So Wyatt is
did not know
a very, very talented young actor, and he's really good in this. Like this, I don't want to get too deep into the show because you guys should see it, but I
that's not
binged it yesterday. I've never binged a show in one day.
It's half hour?
Ever. It's a half hour. 7 episodes, a half hour.
Did not know that.
Yes, it's really short, but it's so good. Like each show ends, you're like, "Fuck, I have to watch the next one." But
Yeah, you chew through with it.
Okay, he
30
sold me on that.
yeah,
'cause
exactly.
I was like, I
will
don't
say,
wanna watch
I will
it.
say this: there's some parts of it that are a little. I mean, it's not. You see mostly everything coming, but that might be because we're all kind of writers in a sense. So
Yeah.
maybe that's just me. But you'll see. Well, I want to talk about it when you guys see it. But
Is it
it's
coming of age?
sort of? Yes,
Okay.
yes, sort of. Yeah.
I will say I'm excited to see it, but I'm just fed up with the telekinesis being the power that's kind of like, oh, we're gonna hide this. Like, how many,
Yeah.
like, you know,
Oh, I didn't even know
Jean
there were
Grey.
powers in it.
yeah, exactly. How many, how many
Yeah.
That's the
tropes
whole
or
thing.
or
She
shoehorned into
discovers she has a
superheroes?
power, and then when her emotions get the best of her, the power manifests.
God.
Yeah, they either
But,
make you a
but
stock
that is
Superman or
really
Jean
is
Grey. I'm like,
that really is the backdrop. Like
Okay.
her going through what she's going through as a teenage girl is
Yeah.
more the focus of the show.
Okay.
Right.
And I know that's been in a lot of shows. I mean, Smallville was all about that.
Yeah.
So it's not like hasn't been done before, but she's such a really talented actress. Like the camera really. I had a friend who said this when we saw it the first time. The camera loves that girl, and it really, really does. Because in this
yeah.
movie, in this show, they kind of dress her down. She's the nerdy one. She's the frumpy one. She doesn't come all all
She's
glamorous.
sardonic.
Yes, exactly.
She's kind of that way in It, too.
A little bit, but she's
not-
way more in this.
well, she's rocking that Molly Ringwald kind of
Yeah.
personality.
Yeah, that's
like
fair.
a modern rock.
Because
Okay.
think about
That's
all,
fair.
all the
Yeah, yeah.
all the guys in It are into her.
Yeah.
Whereas in this show, she kind of fades into the background.
Interesting.
She's
Okay.
like one of those kind of girls.
Okay.
And this isn't really giving away anything because it comes up in the trailer.
In the trailer,
She's in love with her best friend, who's a girl,
Mm-hmm.
but she's also into Stan, the guy I was talking about earlier.
Oh.
Yep.
His name's Stan in the show as well.
Go on.
Nice.
Not just from
That
the,
helps.
But anyway, so you guys should check it out. It's a really good show, and like I said, I went through it in one day yesterday, or a few hours because it's only 30 minutes each show.
4 hours bang out the whole series. It sounds like
exactly.
basically.
So it was very easy to do. And anyway, and I started watching the one that John was talking about. So I'll let you introduce that one, John.
Yes, for all the animation fans out there, it is Kippo and the Age of Wonder Beasts. I was wondering what the hell it was at first.
It's a DreamWorks cartoon.
It is a DreamWorks cartoon, which that's what got me into it at first. But
right.
The premise is it is a post-apocalyptic scenario where something shitty's happened to Earth. Go figure. And now this girl who has been living underground has emerged above ground, where all the mutated and the main point of mutations are you're either a really large version of an animal that was once small,
Yes.
like you have giant
And
dragonflies, giant rabbits,
and sentient now.
and sentient now,
yeah,
and
talking frogs and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the thing. Like the most of the animal kingdom after that has been anthropomorphized. So basically, you have like a skunk biker gang running around. You have like
Okay.
there's like I'm trying to think what are the main groups. There's a group of frogs. The frogs like mafioso, so they're like running around in Italian suits. You have I mentioned like the skunk biker gang.
Yeah.
I feel like there's what is the other main species? Because it's been like a few weeks since I've seen it.
But I've only seen the 3 episodes.
Well,
And it's like I would compare it to it's like Alice in Wonderland, post-apocalyptic Alice in Wonderland.
oh, absolutely,
Basically.
yeah. Post-apocalyptic Alice in Wonderland.
So
That's actually a solid comparison.
Yeah.
But what I enjoyed about it was it does have a strong focus on music. There's a lot of songs I hadn't heard before that basically are being played and featured in the episode.
Music is very important to both these shows.
Yeah, and
both the shows we're talking about.
Yes.
Like very, very important.
And just the humor in Kippo just gets me
the humor's
cracking
great.
all the time. Like it's kind of like it's somewhere between almost like Jake from Adventure Time and John DiMaggio. Like I just see this being a show he would do. He's not in it from what I understand, but like there's a bug character in there that so reminds me of Bender, and it
pop up eventually.
But the
that dude works a lot.
Yeah,
Phil Lamar's in it.
Oh yeah, he was. He was bad, I think, or something like that.
So.
But like the bug character that reminded me of Bender, what sold me on it was he lives his life in 6 phases, where he starts out as a pupa, goes into a baby, goes into a young adult, then to an adult, then to an awesome adult, and then he dies and becomes a baby again.
Yeah.
And he lives this process throughout the entire series multiple times.
It's pretty
That's
good.
amazing.
And so he has different abilities and different advantages to each stage he's in. So it's funny to watch what is needed when and how it doesn't happen.
So I think you guys should check these shows out. Everyone out there. And what I think the way we're going to do it from here on is we'll just nominate shows, and each one of us will try them. And if we can get through it, cool. If we can't, that'll be part of the conversation. Be like, well, I just couldn't get into it, and that's totally fine. Because I was going to say, like, what the last thing I want to say about I am not okay with this is that this feels like John Hughes and Lena Dunham got together and created and did Carrie. That's what this show feels like. Like that's the best comparison I can give to that. And I wish John Hughes was still around, because John Hughes working with Lena Dunham would be absolutely amazing. And that movie would have to be rated R, or show would have to be on HBO.
Yeah. Well,
but anyway, all right, so that's that. And now I want to talk about. I guess this is the kind of we're gonna get the show started. After all that beginning stuff. Sorry, I stole that from Kevin Smith. But so we're gonna get the meat of the pod here, which is gonna be Star Wars: The High Republic. Potter, why don't you tell us what that is?
So, the High Republic is the next big thing, Star Wars thing from Disney. Now that the Skywalker saga is over, it has been burned to the ground. It has died. Been buried.
Let the past die. Ryan Johnson really wanted it to die.
It's going to be set before the prequels, before everything, in the time of the High Republic. How about that? Which it could be
technically the Old Republic.
Yeah,
they're just calling it something different.
It's going to be
they're on marijuana.
Wait, they're not all getting baked. I thought they were just getting baked, right?
It's going to
Chewie
be like
Chewie used to have those cookies.
Tales of the Old Republic. I think it'll be like
Wookiee,
that.
Yeah, Wookiee snacks.
Yeah,
or Knights of the Old Republic back when
that
that game was out and really big. Or Tales of the Jedi. I think they're going to take it pretty far back.
But can you tell us why it's big though? If it's not movies. They're not movies.
No, they're not movies. They're books. All right, we should have said
it's everything else.
And comic books.
It'll be like
Books,
Shadows of the
comic
Empire.
books,
video games.
Yeah. So
Star Killer.
But I think their intent is to get this. See if it's popular enough to make movies on.
Well,
because originally the from what we understand the 2 Game of Thrones guys who left were originally working on the Old Republic stuff. They were working on something thousands of years in the past. I don't know if they were calling it the Old Republic, but it was
right. But that was the rumor.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think that became this because they're like, all right, we got to kind of do a whole rebirth, like the comics are doing with Star Wars. I don't think they need to go totally back and reset everything, but there's so much, and we've talked about this many times on other pods. There's so many areas of the Star Wars galaxy that have yet to be explored, and time-wise too. So. Going back thousands of years guarantees there's no Skywalkers.
Why can't it be after the Skywalkers?
Or that.
We'll
get there.
Why
we'll get there.
I will tell you why I think that is. I think that it is before Skywalkers as opposed to after, is because if you do it after, you have to rebuild your Force mythos, and you have to basically indoctrinate the world into that. And that, while it could be a fun story...
That's too much work.
Exactly. But they want a world established where you do have superpowers running around in the form of Jedi and Sith. So once you start the world with them already there, it's a lot... There's a lot more fertile playground to play with, as opposed to having to very carefully, meticulously rebuild this whole, good versus evil mythology. That, let's be honest, that series is really, until Mandalorian, focused around. Like, if you weren't dealing with the Jedi and the Sith, your Star Wars property wasn't that fondly looked after until Mandalorian came out and kind of changed that.
No, Rogue One.
That is the one. But see, for me with Rogue One, if you ask me what happened in there that I loved and I was like, yeah, it was the Darth Vader scene at the end. Because I wanted to see him use his superpowers in this more modern take on Star Wars.
They could have put that in any of the movies, and that would have been. It could have been Empire Strikes Back, and it would have been the best scene in the film.
Absolutely, but that's true. That's true. But
because it's so cool.
Yeah,
especially when he throws that one guy up and then sabers him on the roof in the ceiling.
Exactly, man. That's what I'm saying. Because, and like I said, don't get me wrong.
And they made him back. They brought him back to being evil.
Yes.
You know, no more of this cutesy Vader.
Yes.
Like, oh, we're rooting for you, Anakin. No.
See,
this is evil Vader.
Yeah, we needed to see him exactly, not quite, taking out Podling's Vader, but he was kind of there.
Although I sadistically wanted a little bit more of that, but that's okay. Kyle, you look like your brain's ready to explode.
You get that in the comics too, and again, so this is a good way to kind of branch into why I'm excited about the High Republic.
I am excited about it, by the way. I should say that. All the writers involved.
Well, to an extent, yeah. So Charles Soule is who I was going to talk about. So
he's doing it?
Yeah, he's writing the first book that comes out in August. Called...
So behind on
what's
the books.
It called? I don't remember. Light of the Jedi or something? I don't remember. But yeah, it's the first novel. It's going to come out. And they're going to do... novels, young adult novels, comics, some of the
adult novels.
Yeah, adult after midnight novels.
Well, have you seen that young fine-looking Yoda over there with the hair all coming down? He knows what they're doing over there.
Star Wars.
Find a little action, see how it goes.
Question. So that means we get to see a nobody come up and become a Jedi, maybe, like not in the lineage of a Skywalker or a Palpatine.
Like Broom Boy.
Yeah.
So for those people who are complaining that
my
Broom Boy.
My one
yes, but nobody's gonna. These people that are complaining aren't gonna read it though. They're just gonna wait to complain about the movies because that didn't happen in the other original movies.
Well, yeah.
Shut up.
It'll be interesting to see how this goes.
I didn't know a Jedi could do that.
Well,
now you do.
I hope that it's balanced between Jedi and normal people because I'm honestly really tired of Jedi and Sith stuff.
Well, here's a good thing.
It's great, but that's why. Here's another reason why I need you to finish Resistance, Star Wars Resistance, which is the third cartoon from Dave Filoni and co.
I'll finish it,
but it deals less with any Jedi and Sith stuff. Like there's some things sprinkled in here and there, some Force stuff sprinkled in, but it's more mysterious to them. I want to get back to that because I've seen enough of the Jedi and Sith battles for all of the Star Wars saga, the Skywalker saga, that what I loved about Rogue One is there really wasn't a lot of that in there. It was this mystical thing, and you had Chirrut and Baze Malbus, and they were guardians of the Temple of the Wills, and they had some sense of the Force, but they weren't Jedi.
No.
So that's why
they didn't have as many midichlorians.
Midichlorians.
That's where the wills come from.
It's not.
For those who don't know what we're doing,
sorry, I got to get the trick.
There's another concept. There's the Force, midichlorians.
We love Papa. We love you, Papa George.
Yeah,
we still love you, Papa George.
No, we do.
I also love the Clone Wars episodes that dealt with like the clones, like the army. Like, military episodes.
That's another reason why. I mean, Rebels was good, and yes, Rebels had it got to a point where it was a lot of kind of Jedi stuff, but it was more secretive and more mysterious.
Well, that was more on the side because it was just Ezra's training.
Yeah, so I want more of that now in book form or movie form. I'm just kind of I feel like the Jedi Sith battle is a little tired, but I'm gonna read it because I love Charles Soule and I think this is very interesting, and I hope they pull in some of the Legends material. From
this could have been an escape pod.
It could have
been. Just real quick.
We'll discuss it more.
I just want to just real quick, just to get so people understand they're out there know what it's about. First of all, I got to plug the place we're in because I haven't done that yet. This is Black Cat Comics, by the way. As you see all these awesome toys around here in Burbank on Magnolia. You should visit Kyle and Kyle Bentley, our other friend Kyle, who runs the store.
Kyle, he won't be here.
This is an amazing collection he's put together over the last 34 years, I think is how old he is, somewhere around there. But anyway, back to Star Wars. The High Republic, just to give a little bit of background, what happens is a big event happens that brings all the Jedi together to fight this one big thing, and then the aftermath of that comes these like space pirates that look pretty badass, like their designs. But that's basically what they're calling
Vikings,
them.
Space pirates.
Vikings, that was Space Vikings.
Yeah,
Space Vikings, not pirates. And then that's the new Jedi foe, so it's not Sith, which is cool. Although the Sith, I'm sure, are around.
I'm sure there'll be.
Well, there's two of them at least. I'm
There's
sure.
always-
Yeah.
Somewhere
Actually,
hiding.
that was that might have been back
Well,
before the Rule of Two.
yeah.
When there was like,
I think it was.
Sith armies and stuff.
I think that was
So-
pre-rule of 2.
But we haven't heard from
I'm
Kyle
not
at
sure.
all.
I'm not
yet.
sure if it's
I
400
would-
years or 4,000 years.
I don't
can't
remember.
Yeah.
Well, in Legends material, it came about after the Battle of Rusan. When the thought,
I mean the
Sith
setting
thought
for
bomb goes
the
off,
High
but-
Republic was
Oh,
that.
yes.
Is
Yes,
this
yes.
how far back is it?
They said thousands.
Like, are we
going to
see
They said
Yoda?
thousands
Okay, so
of
we're not
years.
gonna see
Thousands
Yoda.
of years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thousands of
Yeah.
years before
Got it.
before the Skywalkers.
Got it.
But we might see a Baby Yoda in it because Baby Yoda's super popular.
We might see it.
Whoa.
it's just a whole. It's just
like
all
actual Yoda
babies.
as a baby.
Yeah, baby's Yoda.
I'd
yeah.
seen concept
I don't
art of a young Yoda running around for this thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Or at least one of his species, maybe.
Well, no, the way it was pitched to me, and I saw it, like, he literally looked like he was kind of like Qui-Gon Jinn level Yoda, just like hair strands down, his,
Maybe-
like thick brown hair coming down and everything.
Interesting.
I
Maybe
want to
it's-
see teenage Yoda. That
I'll
would
have
be
to-
great.
Well, the concept art had like him at 3 different ages. They had like him at teenage, him as an adult, and him as an older adult, which I thought was interesting. So I don't know where they're planning on putting this.
I thought I
wanna
saw
see
something
mine.
somewhere
I thought it
about
was
400 years.
That's what I was
Yeah,
about
he
to
would
say.
be
which
alive.
would mean
400
Yoda
years.
would be around.
Yeah.
He'd be about 500.
Yeah.
Oh, really? It's only that far back?
I don't know.
Yeah, they're
It's
not doing
not-
like old
If only one of us had a
Oh,
phone
I
that
thought
wasn't
they were
recording
way
this
further
thing.
back.
I
I
wish.
know,
I
right?
would love to see
Pull
Dark
up and
Ravon.
look at
Give
it
me
and-
some
Yes,
Ravon. I
and
need to
see.
see that story.
If somebody
Oh,
could
this-
just check on their
There you
phone,
go.
man,
Yes.
I wish we had a phone that somebody could.
But
Oh,
again,
God, if only.
Russell's on it.
like
Russell's our guy in the
said,
chat.
Now, what was the question?
like I'm never as excited when it's like Jedi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I'm more interested in, like, or if you're gonna go into the Jedi, let's talk about how fucking toxic the Jedi Order is.
Oh my god, this
Oh,
has
yeah.
this has to be for an escape
Like,
pod because
It does.
your take on this.
Yes.
I'm just like, it's just
True.
so frustrating.
No, I
Like,
share
rewatching
some-
everything, watching
Yeah.
the Clone Wars. I'm like, these guys are fucking wrong.
They
The
kidnapped
Jedi are
kids.
wrong.
200 years before Phantom Menace.
That's it.
200, not thousands, 200.
That's what
I
I thought.
read-
Unless
I
you could have a Yoda
read
who's
something.
600 years old. Or
Actually, you know what? I'll look for the picture right now.
am very much
Oh.
interested in seeing something Star Wars that does not have a direct connection to what we already know.
Well, there's no way they're not going to have Yoda
No,
You have
Yoda
to have
will be
Yoda.
there.
because as
Definitely.
popular as Baby
Mandalorian
Yoda's
proved
been-
it.
Yaddle.
It's not Baby
Yaddle
Yoda,
might
it's the
be
child.
there.
It's not called Baby Yoda. It's the child.
Yeah.
It's 200 years?
because it's not Baby
200
Yoda.
years.
Teenage Chewbacca might be there.
Yes.
That's true.
That
Could
is
it be
true.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Chewbacca?
Probably not, unless they can de-mutant him.
Man.
Yes, because he can't be a mutant later on.
Well,
Yeah.
all right. Fine.
They cut off the third arm. maybe.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah. That's why
That's real mutant right there. That's like Total Recall mutant.
But yeah, like, again, there's part of me that just wants to, like, just expand it. Just give me something out there that
right.
we don't know.
Well, the
There's
Cassian,
this.
Cassian Andor series won't have any
interesting.
Skywalker
But this
stuff.
was pulled
Yeah,
from
but again,
a
it's
still
still
in,
in
like,
yeah,
interview
like-
and while he's walking around the room.
And I mean, I'm
they
interested
had him
in the
walk through
Cassian Andor
concept art,
series.
and that's
Like,
what they're getting it from.
I'm into that idea. I'm
So maybe
into
it could be-
the,
I don't know.
It
like,
could be. Yeah.
fewer Jedi, or no Jedi,
I
or
would-
close to no
What did you
Jedi.
find?
I would
Like,
love to
Share it with the
see-
rest of the class,
Well,
John.
yeah, this is the shot that I found.
Oh.
Like, but the actual article mentions that this was pulled from when this interview they did with this guy, and while he's
He's
walking
handsome.
around, they stole it from concept art that was on his desk. So,
Son of
it
a-
may not officially be Yoda,
Got it.
but it may
Yeah.
just be a Yoda species.
I mean, if it's only 200 years ago and it's about the Jedi, Yoda will be there.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, they're never going to get an interview at that place
I
again.
think I also read too that it's going to be more. It's going to be more toned like Star Trek to an extent, where the Jedi are going to be exploring worlds,
others, yeah.
meeting new species, that kind of thing. So we
New
might
civilizations.
we might see the Jedi scattered more. Hence, why this big event happens, or whatever.
bring them all back.
Bring them all back
Right.
together. And there are problems getting some of them back because of X, Y, and Z,
Yeah.
and whatever.
But
It'd be
because I
interesting.
think at this point in the Star Wars universe, it's been like hundreds of years of peace, and then this event shatters that.
Well, because there is.
That's why the Jedi can be so spread out and not have to be.
I mean,
And there's no Sith because they haven't been seen in over millennia, according to Kiadi Mundi.
yeah, that's true.
That's
point.
true. That's right.
So they have
That's
to,
right.
of
It does say
course.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so they do need a new villain. So maybe we won't see the Sith at
The
all.
Space Vikings.
I mean, in the intro video, they talked about sort of figuring out what scare the Jedi.
Yes, I was about to mention.
And so
that.
it'll be
Commit-
interesting because, like,
That's
I
true.
don't on our text thread. I talked a little bit about like I don't know what's scarier to the Jedi than like the Yuzan Vong
Here's
from
the thing.
Legends.
I have a feeling
You
they'll
know,
probably
creatures from outside the galaxy who don't exist in the Force.
I bet
Yeah.
my bet my money would be on that Yuuzhan Vong being kind of archetype for what their bad guys are going to be. I bet you
could be.
they probably aren't in the Force. These space Vikings.
Well, it's also the
or
interesting
something similar.
The interesting, the
Yeah.
Vong
Or
have
it's
sort of
blurry.
like two really interesting defining characteristics that make them
Yeah.
the complete
fucked up.
opposite of the galaxy that we know. Is that one, they don't exist in the Force, and the only thing
Right.
we've really seen that's like that is the Asalamari from
Right.
Wayland.
Oh,
Is that the
Yeah, that
think
sounds
so.
right. The right
something like
planet.
that. I mean, it's
yeah.
part of the Thrawn.
where
trilogy.
they create
Yeah.
a bubble that no Force can exist within. The midi
Yeah.
it shuts down the midi-chlorians, I guess.
Which
Yeah.
they showed up in quite a few legends.
And then their other thing is that their ships, their weapons, everything is natural.
right.
It's all from nature. It's all
bioorganic.
grown. It's
Yeah.
none of it is. It's not technology in the way we understand
Yeah.
it. It's biotechnology. It's
Yeah.
all organic.
Yeah.
right.
Which,
Which are basically slaves, though. That's the thing. Is like that's why these things are like almost pure evil.
well,
Like,
it's what's
There's
interesting.
hasn't been a
though-
bad guy since the Nazis as evil as the Yuuzhan Vong. Like, there's nothing to like about them.
See, what's interesting is it's.
Nothing.
You could almost say they're more in tune with nature than the Jedi.
No, but they
Because the
enslave
Jedi
these
use the
crea-
Force, but
they
they're
enslave these
creatures that they have grown and created. They're not.
That's not
There's
bitter.
never been no, but there's never been any indication that these creatures are sentient or even feel things.
I think there is. I think.
I don't know, other than the Vong themselves. I mean, they have like creatures that they ride and that kind of a thing, but like I don't think their ships are like.
You don't think they're sentient? I think
There's
they
I don't
there's a
know.
living. Isn't there a living planet in one
There
of
is a
the
living planet,
Legends
yes.
books? Is that
Yes,
where
that's
if I'm
the same
remembering
planet.
right,
It's called- that was the
Vergeer?
Dark-
It's
that was the
Vergeer went there
Vergeer, yeah.
in
The
I think it
Dark
was
Nest
Rogue
trilogy.
Planet was the
That's it. Yeah,
was
yeah, that's it.
the prequel era novel where
the
Qui-Gon
Rogue
and I
Planet.
think
That's right.
Anakin.
Obi-Wan
Yeah,
went
Anakin
there.
befriended it. Anakin befriended the planet.
Yeah.
Because when Luke comes, he's like, "You feel like the other one" or something. He says there's
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
line like that.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yep. Yep.
So
Love it.
anyway, all right.
Us pulling
We
Legend
should've
stuff
done
out
it.
of our
Right?
asses.
We should have done the
Man.
skate pod. You know,
But
We'll
I'm
discuss it
intrigued.
more.
Yeah.
I
once
will be there
and when it comes out, we'll be able to talk about it a lot more.
Yeah, and we don't have a lot of details right now. Like this is all
Yeah.
conjecture at this point. We
But it
don't-
is
we
this
don't
year,
know.
isn't it?
It is.
Yeah,
this year.
August.
Yeah,
August.
And this
this
is what
year.
they were formerly calling Project Luminous.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And then Claudia Gray is also another writer in there, which I'm really
Yes.
excited about.
Oh, yes.
She wrote that Princess Leia novel and a couple other ones in
Isn't
the
that
new.
Across the Stars or something? I don't remember.
Hers.
Oh, more recently.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's written
Didn't she
two
write
others
some
besides the
Legends?
Princess Leia one.
Yeah.
I think she wrote
what is she?
Legends.
Legends?
I don't
remember
know. She
why.
might have been, but I don't
Maybe.
I
remember.
don't know. Name's familiar.
Yeah. Anyway, so other thing I wanted to, before we get out of here, I wanted to tease, like, obviously the Picard show has been on since last time we talked to you, and I freaking love it.
It's almost over now.
It's almost
Too.
over. The
Yeah, I
season's
watched the
over.
first 2 episodes and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna wait.
Just all
I'm gonna
done.
wait till it's done.
Wait
and
till you
then-
get to the Romulan samurai. He's so awesome.
It just
Anyway,
gets better and better.
have you
Oh
guys
my
watched
God.
Picard at all?
Not
You two?
yet.
I do not. Okay,
It's so good.
Well, hopefully they'll watch it
So good.
soon because we're gonna premiere. We have the Escape Pod, which is all Star Wars.
Yep.
We have the Infinity Watch, which is all Marvel. We haven't given DC one yet, but they haven't given us anything
well,
to deserve it yet.
We may not have
They
to.
haven't-
They'll still. That's the thing. There'll still be TV shows and movies. There'll still be TV shows and movies. Supposedly, and that whole Crisis event said, had Ezra Miller come in as Flash. By the way.
Yes.
And that
it did.
DC crossover event.
Interesting.
So he's still around, and he's still technically going to get a movie.
That movie.
But anyway, so we're going to have a Star Trek pod. We haven't come up with a name with it yet, but we're working on. We're playing with some names, but
Yeah.
so be on the lookout for that. And of course, off the
Where
rack.
no pod has gone before.
No pod has gone before.
Yep.
Off the
Those
rack.
are my
with
thought
stars.
went first. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Put our thinking caps on.
I don't have a.
that will do it for that will do it for this week, and we will, like I said, listen to Off the Rack pod. Look for that Star Trek pod, and I am Daniel Villalobos,
I'm John Hudson.
I'm Joshua Potter.
I'm Kyle Bound.
I'm Russell Thumb.
and you're our listeners and watchers. We love you all. See you next time on The Way We Nerd.